What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm sure many of you were asked this question as a child. But what if I ask you this question today? What do you want to be when you turn 50 or 60 or when you hit 90? As a music educator, I see potential on how music and arts can help us to reshape our identities as we age. Today I'm going to speak to you not only about the how, but why I consider this potential so important. We should keep in mind that aging concerns all of us. The continued advancement in medicine, technology, and education has allowed us the privilege of living longer and healthier lives. If you're now in your 30s, you have a 50% chance of living to 95. And if you're now in your 20s, you have a 50% chance of making it to 100. And by the year 2050, there will be more people above the age of 60 than children under the age of 14 worldwide. Lots of grey people, huh? Well, that's us, by the way. We are the future old people. But if I ask you now to think about old people, what comes to your mind first? Maybe something like this? Whether we like it or not, our perceptions of other people are based on stereotypes. And unfortunately, older people are often considered as slow, feeble, incompetent, and not that interesting. For the rest of us, living in a society where the ideal of youth is visible and everywhere, old people become more and more invisible, which leads to an increasing gap between generations. Well, as a result of these stereotypes and ageist attitudes, we might also create somewhat narrow views of ourselves and our potential as future old people. And this has to change. Because successful aging is not only about trying to maintain your physical well-being or medicating the effects of aging in order to stay active. Successful aging is about building new networks, exploring new identities and letting go of old roles, and being perceived and recognized by others in positive ways. As a matter of fact, research has shown that the aging population's perceptions of themselves and how they feel they are perceived by others affects their quality of life more than any health measure. We need other people to make our lives meaningful. So we should start thinking today how we want to age. I have seen that performing and participating in creative music making can help to achieve these goals, and it could help you too. But, however, there is a tendency to think, especially in music, that in order to learn, you have to start young. I'm here to show you today that it's never too late. Through my research on music education among different generations, I have discovered that through musical performance, we can change attitudes and bring the social change we need. For example, to take the current perceptions of aging and turn it from this to look more like this. As a researcher and a dedicated fan, I have followed this group of retired women who together formed a rock band at the age of 65. Today they're closer to 75 and still performing. This band chose to call themselves riskiryhmä in Finnish, which translates to risk group. Now, there is a story behind their name. When their teacher told them, just before their first important performance, ladies, this certain song might be too risky to perform on stage because it's so difficult, they did it anyway. They're not afraid of taking risks at this age. But they also want to be called the risk group because of their high age. As the bass player has told me in a half joking but half serious way, the risk group is always living on the edge, not knowing if one of them might not make it to the next rehearsal or gig. In addition to the joy of joint music making, rock music allows this band to resist the stereotypes of aging. For these ladies who previously suffered from loneliness and isolated life, playing in a band has opened up a space for creative self-expression, peer support, and positive feedback from younger audience. Without any musical background, these headstrong ladies committed to learn, practice, and perform music together. Not only has this revitalized their everyday lives, but also increased their sense of belonging and helped them to construct new social identities. Music is a universal form of creativity, a great human resource that we all are capable of doing and enjoying since we are born. Still, many of the risk group ladies had thought throughout their lives that they weren't talented enough to learn to play an instrument. Well, fortunately, they managed to prove themselves wrong at the age of 65. Learning to play is possible at any age. It's not about how talented you are, but how willing you are to learn. Of course, learning always demands good, encouraging teachers, flexible teaching methods, and accessible learning environments. But most importantly, learning demands practice. As the risk group ladies have also noticed along the way, sometimes practicing is rewarding. Yes, we nailed this show tonight. And other times, practicing might also be painful. Oh, I have to learn this song even if it takes me the whole summer. The meaning and purpose of this type of activity is created through self-directed practice as the group members set their own individual goals as well as shared goals as a group. And by the way, sometimes these goals can spill beyond the actual musical practice into everyday lives. As one of the band members has told me, because of this band, I have a reason to get up every morning. Most importantly, playing in a band involves performance. When the risk group is performing on stage in front of the audience, they're not only doing it for themselves, but to inspire others, to show with the sense of pride that this is who we are. This is also possible for us grannies. So these three components, learning, practicing, and performing, together create a positive feedback loop that has enabled these women to change their own perceptions of themselves. And not only that, but with the band, they are changing the audience's perceptions of aging and old people. Performance changes perception. With performance, we can engage with others, deliver different ideas of who we are, and change others' perceptions of who we are. Now, being a music educator, I of course believe that music can bring the much needed positive change within ourselves and in society. But we can easily imagine many other powerful ways to bring social re-engagement across generations and between different groups of people. There are many stories similar to Risk Group, and their example can be applied to any type of creative activity: dance, theater, skateboarding, anything. The key is to enable us to keep on creating new identities for ourselves as we age, get different generations involved, and share these endeavors with those around us. So, what can we all learn from the Risk Group ladies? Well, at least they help us to realize that it's never too late to learn, to take risks, and reach new heights. Their story might also remind us to think about aging not as a problem, but as a gift and an opportunity. So I'm asking you again, however old you are now, what do you want to be when you grow up? How do you want to perceive yourself as a future older person? And how do you want to be perceived by others? What inspires you? What would you still like to learn during this lifetime? What will you have to give to younger generations, and what can you get in return from them? I suggest that we start bridging these gaps today in order to reshape our perceptions of aging, as well as our futures as old people. We don't have to contend with growing old and invisible. We can just keep growing up. Thank you.